And I know that people out here are anxious to hear your recommendation or your request to the CRA board and the association. So address those two questions. Pension cut. Sorry, the chairman of the board of trustees, Sixto Igisomar.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Richard's sidekick, just so you know. I know that we were not very prepared to be here today to provide your presentation, although I'd like to state that in the past that we've been here, we were actually giving you nice PowerPoints with a lot of beautiful numbers. So I'll turn over to Richard to go down on any specific items that are details that I do not want to go into. But we would like to make it as general as possible and turn this into, at least Oscar, if you don't mind, and the board of directors, a Q&A. I mean, I know you asked about what is it that we're requesting from you, but I'll just state a few, make some points first before I go down. We only really have one item we want to ask you to do. Well, first of all, I guess we came out in the public to inform everybody that the market is not the answer nor the solution for your retirement. I know that there was a lot of ideas out there running around in papers and emails, people saying how best should you run the fund. But the bottom line is this: you all worked so hard for the government, and the government gave you a promise that you will have a pension. And that's what we've been trying to do, to make sure that we have enough money for your pension. This problem is not new. This problem has been around since day one. I'm saying day one because I came on board to this fund sometimes in 2008, I believe. And all I had to do was look at the numbers, and I already know that we're in trouble. So it's not news. It's been around. So I am sure that a lot of people were not too worried. Decision makers, policy makers, even the retirees themselves. I don't think you are fully aware that we have a big issue. Back then, I'm sure your money was around $500 million, and everybody was saying, that's fine. $500 million is a lot of money. Now, I'm not sure if you even know how much money you have now. As of today, it's unaudited, meaning it's not finalized, but I just want to go ahead and release the number. It's approximately $266 million. Okay? Now, is that a problem? Well, if we are actually, I would say, 80% funded, that's fine. But we're not 80% funded. We're below 50%. We're below 40%. What does that mean? And I'm sure that a lot of retirees may not really understand what's going on, and they don't understand what does unfunded mean, funded means. It basically say this, and we're going to pick one retiree, for example, let's say Oscar. He's not a retiree, he's too active, right? Let's say Oscar or Ruth. Don. Let's say Donna, I'm supposed to give Donna for her entire life that we estimated that she's going to be retired, and we're going to give Donna $1. She's going to earn $1 from now until the Lord comes in and says, Donna, it's time to come see me. And it's $1. All we're saying is from that $1, we only have 40 cents. And if Donna keeps leaving and the Lord does not want Donna, it's going to be forever. I mean, we're going to run out of money. So that's what unfunded means. We are very, very short. So this is since day one. I know we came up to around 50%, and Richard can clarify that for me, but I know we got up to 50% and we went down. So how does this work? Well, if I owe her $1 and I promise her that if she retires, Donna, I will have this $1 sitting around, the only way to make that work is somebody's supposed to be paying me some funds along the way. Zikaha, the safe, I should be receiving some funds so that it can help me be paying Donna back little by little, and at the same time I have little money to be paying for some operation. But it never happened. Somewhere along the line, I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the line, the contributions, which is the employer contributions, which is your share. In other words, when you were working a long time ago, the government would put in some money coming from your paycheck, that's the employee contribution, and some money will be coming in from the government, which is the employer contribution. Somewhere along the line, the employer stopped. Okay, so when the employer stopped, let me use this analogy. A long time ago, we had a big problem with CUC before Greco came in. Just imagine you have a water tank and you're trying to fill it up with water. And when you're filling that water tank up with water, there are holes, but you're fine because CUC is on with the water all the time, right? And the pump is on and everything's happening, so the water keeps coming in. But one day, CUC stops. 24 hours, no water, or 2 days, 3 days a week, and your water tank has holes. It keeps leaking and leaking. And by the time CUC got on board, the water was just a drip into the tank. And you know that you need a full tank to survive the whole year or your whole retirement lifetime. So that's what happened. The employer contributions stopped coming in. But the retirement fund kept paying out pension, as it should. The government owes you the pension. The retirement fund is nothing more than like a small entity with trustees that are supposed to watch the money, the trust, and to make sure that everybody's participating properly. But the funds stopped coming in and we kept paying out. We kept paying out because we have to. And it's about $60 million a year. $63 million a year we're paying out. So you can imagine, we were at 400 million, 500 million, 400, 300. So every year we were paying out $60 million, or 63 million. But we were not collecting 63 million from the government. We were always short. So if you guys understand cash flow, I'm a retirement fund. I'm supposed to pay the pension out a total of 66 million, but I am not receiving any money from the government. So where else do you think I'm going to get the money from? From the market. So Richard would call them up and says, can you cash this out, liquidate this out? So they make the money available. So every year we keep chunking, we keep eating that pie. We keep eating it. And now we're here. 266 million is all you have right now. But supposedly we need about $900 million or close to $1 billion to support all of you retired, plus all the active workers that are still in defined benefit contribution, plus all the estimated surviving spouse or surviving children, but we don't have it. So that's where we are. And no, we did not go to 266 million just because the market coughed, or there was a big bird flu, or a big disease that hit the market. And I know everybody was saying, how did she go from 3 months ago around 330, then 310, 320? What's going on? Is the market really bad? No. We were drawing that money to pay you. Okay, we were getting out about 2 million a month, if not 4 million, depending whether we receive employer contribution from the government or not. And I'm happy to say that what happened was the government, the retirement fund, took the employer to court and said, you owe me. And I'm saying that they were successful, or we were, on your behalf. And of course, the problem is everybody's so impatient and getting upset. What are you doing? How come they're not paying? Where's the money? How come they're not giving you anything? I'm sure you all know that courts takes forever. We've been fighting every day. Every day, every month that we have a board meeting, we do nothing but discuss what's happening with the lawsuit. What's the next date? When's the next calendar date? When are we going to go in? What are we going to do? Of course, if it's within our power, we just yank our hands in there and take everything out of the government. And of course, that's the other issue. I know you all know that I work for Commerce, okay? I'm the Deputy Secretary for Commerce. At the same time, I'm with the Retirement Fund. And I don't mix the two. And I always say that you have to have a split personality to be in my position. Because I have to pretend that government, commerce does not exist when I'm with the fund. And it's not easy. And I always fight and look out for your benefit, what is good for you. So, right now the situation is we only have $266 million. The government is not paying. Well, at least they tried. When we got that last judgment, they were paying 30%, and then they fell behind, and we came back and says, you're not paying. So it's all about like threats in the court. Every time we end up in court, they pay up. Then when we're not in court, they stay behind. When we're about to show up in court, they pay up. So we decided not to remove that we should at least always have a time to show up to court every month and a half or 2 months or 3 months so that we can always have that collection. And I think that's been nice so far. Otherwise, if they never pay anything, we would have drawn that money down so fast. So the question is, how long is the pension going to last? Well, if you only have $266 million, or if you only have $2.60, just using a smaller figure, and we are paying out, or I have this bank account and I only have $2.60, and every year I'm supposed to take out 66 cents or 63 cents, that money is going to disappear. And that's why we said the market is not going to help the fund. It's helping you little, and that's what we're trying to do. Whatever we can put in the market, it's helping. A penny, a dollar, $2 that the market is making at 4% or less, it's better than nothing, right? But it's not going to solve the problem. So if I'm collecting 63 cents or $66 million every year, that $266 million is not going to last 3 years. I did my simple math here, and it's less than 3 years. So that's the big issue. So the question is, what are you here, what do you want from the retirees? I need you all, well, first of all, we've been doing our job. Working as trustees, and Richard working hard as an administrator for the fund, trying to make sure we figure out solutions for you. But we already know that the market is not the answer, so we're trying to make sure what are other ways to do this. How can we do this? And that's what we've been fighting for. So if the market is not there and the government is not paying, you're going to run out in less than 3 years. Now, this is not the first time we've said this. We've been, even before I got to the fund, they've been saying it. Not until about, I would say, a year into my service with the fund, about 2009, when I said, let's go back out again and tell them what's going on. They go, everybody knows. I go, let's do it again, because it looks like nobody's listening. No policymaker is listening. The retirees are not even sure if they know what they want. So what are we asking from you? I'm doing a lot. You know, I get in trouble a lot in the media, and I get in trouble a lot with the senators. Whenever I go out, right now this is how I feel. The senators and the congressmen. I feel like they hate me. For why? Because I'm at Commerce, but I'm at the fund with a big mouth. And whenever I go there for Commerce, they don't want to help me out. Well, they try, they show their comfort, but it's because I'm out there, and I always tell them, with all due respect, right now this is what I've learned to say. With all due respect, congressmen or senators, I am not, my mouth is not here to scold you or blast you. It's just the way I am, with passion. I have passion for the fund, so whenever I open my mouth, it says a lot of things. So I get in trouble a lot for you. So what are we asking your help for? You need to really organize the CRA. You really need to have a position. You really need to put your voice out. You need these numbers up at the legislature whenever they discuss something that affects you. The Constitution said nobody should ever diminish nor impair, meaning they cannot lower your benefits. They cannot. That's what the Constitution says we should do. And we believe, and we have legislators here and some lawyers that maybe they might disagree with me, but it also says that if the legislature or anyone is going to try and hurt you, they better send it out to the voters to decide, or send it to me to send to the actuarian for me to decide whether yes, it's okay, or yes, we can manage. So that's why we need you to be there, to be present, to tell them how you feel. But of course, I've seen some of you up there, and some are very vocal, some are just timid, shy. They don't want to say anything because they're afraid to hurt the legislator. But let me put it this way. We will never move forward with the retirement fund or the CNMI or the entire CNMI government and the people of the CNMI if we all going to keep shutting our mouth and not saying what is right. I'm not here to rally or create a conflict. What I'm saying is, if you believe you deserve something, say it. Now, here's why I want you to say it. Because if you never say it, they will never do anything. But if you start saying something, guess what? They're going to start listening. And when they start listening, guess what? It's going to start affecting every other thing that they think it's important. Let's face it, the government is broke. Everything is important. But what I'm trying to say is they need to put the retirement fund and the retirees that they owe money to because they work so hard. Okay, for you. So all we're asking is you need to show some great support to your directors to be able to speak for you. What we cannot talk about today is any legal stuff. We cannot go into details. We are in court a lot of times. And so there's one number I want to give you. There's about 2,996 actives. That's back in 2009. There's about 2,940 of those that are retired or surviving spouse. What does that mean? Well, if something happens in the legislature and they allow a withdrawal, right now, I'm not saying I don't agree with the withdrawal or not, but personally all I'm saying is the way the bill is right now, it needs some fixing. Otherwise, if everybody takes all their money out, that's approximately, I would say, $103 million, and they leave, all you're left with is about $163 million. So I'll leave it at that. I know there's a lot of other speakers. Thank you.
I have questions?
No, so it's open now for a question and answer for any